Hello, 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 beautiful people. It is great to be back with you. I am excited to continue this series. We've been talking about upskilling, and we've been really thinking about how, in each one of our individual careers and experiences, we can create security for ourselves. But because we've been talking about this idea that job security, working for one organization or in one sector of the economy, is just false, right? There is no security that happens outside of our own efforts to create that security for ourselves. And it definitely means that as we're working and as we're thinking about how we want to develop specific avenues for ourselves, that we have to take that into our own hands. So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is great to have you here. For those who've been riding with us for a while, it's great to have you back. Always love to have the energy of those who've been riding with us for a while. Before I jump too fast, right? Because you guys know, living in my authentic truth, once I get started into the content, I get fired up and I forget to do my regular housekeeping. So, first, my question for you all is if anybody is joining us live, please do drop your city in the chat. I love to be able to shout out and communicate with those who are joining us live. I'm getting a little bit better every day at navigating the comments in the background. So if you're here with me live, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it is on YouTube, I would love for you to drop your city in the chat so that I can shout you out, acknowledge you for being here live. And for anyone who is watching this on the replay, shout out to you. I love that for you, that you're getting the opportunity to help hang in there with us and participate on the replay. You can still also drop your comments and I will respond to those in the back channel. Those will come through on the actual post. And I really want to make sure that folks feel like you can join us on either, right? You can join us either on the live stream or you can also join us on the replay. I love that for you. And I also love that for me. The replay has been doing really great things and continues to grow. So I love that. And then on the intro slide, you guys saw that the Triumph in the Trenches, Navigating Success for Black Professionals, that banner is still available. That book, that resource is still available for all of you. So really want to take advantage, and I'm going to pop it back up on the screen with a QR code. So anybody who is watching us live can take advantage of that. Grab your copy of Triumph in the Trenches today. You can get it directly from my website at gemsforthejourney.org. If you head over there now, while you're listening to the live, open another tab, stay with us on the live, pop open that tab, type in gemsforthejourney.org, and you can click on Triumphs, and that Triumph in the Trenches option to be able to go and purchase that book will be available immediately for you. We are still in pre-sale mode. Those books will start shipping really soon. I actually have the order coming in on my end. I'm going to sign every single solitary copy. Everyone who buys a copy from me directly will have an opportunity to get a signed copy. And you get the opportunity for a free 30-minute coaching session for every single person who purchases the book. It is a phenomenal deal, phenomenal value. And I want everybody to take advantage of that opportunity. Okay, housekeeping done and out of the way. So last time we were together, we were talking about upskilling, and I was going through this idea of getting a better understanding of the P&L, profit and loss, for your organization, so you understand how your company makes money. And then we talked about, where do you sit in the organization? Are you sitting in the part of the organization that makes the company money, a profit center, or are you sitting in a part of the organization that supports the organization but doesn't actually generate revenue for the company, which is called a cost center or a loss center? So this is kind of corporate understanding 101. And when I started in corporate America, I wish that someone would have broken this down so that I could better understand when I am trying to grow my career or when I am trying to demonstrate my value to the organization. It has to come from a broader understanding, not just of what I do, what I'm capable of, Leah, as an individual, but what my role in the organization does and how that role is designed specifically to either bring money into the organization through profits or to sit in a cost center where I am supporting the parts of the organization who actually do bring money into the organization. You're either one or the other. And a lot of times I'm hearing from folks that this is the first time that they've heard it explained this way, which brings me nothing but joy and gladness, because you're here, you're in the right place, and now you have the opportunity to use this information to frame up your next experience in your own career. So I have a story to tell as I get into the next part of the content. The story is I got a call a little while ago from a friend, from somebody that I trust, that I respect, that I think very highly of. And he called me and said, "Hey, Leah, how you doing?" We got to the small talk of, and then he said, "Are you open to some feedback?" And I paused and was saying, "Wow, I thought we were just, catching up, seeing how each other were doing." He said, "No, I called. I do want to know how you're doing. I do want to know how your family's doing, which is, heartwarming and rewarding. But are you open to some feedback?" So I said, "Yeah, of course, I'm open to some feedback." And he goes on to explain some things to me that he's observed, some things he'd been thinking about that he wanted to make sure that he shared with me as he is watching me navigate my own entrepreneurial journey. And the part about that I wanted to share with all of you is twofold. Number one, make sure you have people in your network who are supporting you, right, from a distance and close up, but in their support, that they have the opportunity to talk with you about what it is you're doing really well and the things that maybe need some development, need some polishing, need some changes, right? Like, let's just call it what it is, needs to be better. So in that call, my friend and I were just going back and forth, and he was talking to me about the observations that he's been making. And I was just so gratified and so grateful that he actually took the time to call me to tell me, "Hey, there's some things going on, and I want to make sure that I let you know." And the reason why I was receptive, the reason why I was open is because one, I was considering the source. He is someone that I trust intrinsically, and I had no preconceived notion that he would do anything but want to help me, want to see me be successful. So when I considered the source for the feedback, it was absolutely the right source. And then two, I'm constantly in the spirit of continual learning, continuous improvement. And part of this could be that I spent a long time working in manufacturing companies or in organizations that focus on continuous improvement as a matter of cost savings, as a matter of differentiation in the market. But this idea that continuous improvement is at the core of the work that I do makes me forced into being a constant learner, which I love. So considering the source and then my desire to continually improve and be a constant learner were the real motivations for why him calling me to ask me specifically, was I ready for some feedback or available for feedback? I was like, absolutely resounding yes. So I want to encourage all of us as we think about our careers and we think about our own development. These aren't things that just happen during the day while we're in our day job from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, 8 to whatever time, right? 7 to whatever time you end. It is focused. I want you to think about focusing broadly on your own development and your desire to be consistently learning, to be consistently growing. And I am encouraging you to do that inside of your day job and outside of your day job. Wherever you are, this idea that we can all be continuous learners and this idea that we can all constantly grow and evolve in ways that we haven't predicted for ourselves yet is what really motivates me to continue to do this work. Now, I know a lot of people are probably saying, "Leah, I have a full plate. I have a lot going on. The expectations at work are really high. I have deadlines. I have competing priorities. I have a manager who is constantly, pushing more work onto me." And I believe all that to be true. And I've lived that experience, so I know all of that is true. My only response to that is I understand that there are always competing priorities, but your own development, your own consistent learning, your own journey to individual continuous improvement is the upskilling that will be the difference maker for your career. Oftentimes, folks get so boggled down in the day to day and in the tactics that we don't have an opportunity to lift our head up and do the things that we know will help us to develop, will help us to grow. I did a whole series on pausing the work and go make yourself some professional friends. Part of that is foundation laying for what we're talking about now, which is now this idea of upskilling and consistently learning, continuous improvement. If you are aware that there are areas where you can develop and you can consistently grow, I absolutely want to encourage you to prioritize your growth. And 9 times out of 10, your growth as an individual will benefit the company or the institution that you work for. But oftentimes, companies are not prioritizing your growth and development. They're prioritizing their bottom line. So we already know companies are going to do what's best for them. And that's their goal, is to add value to shareholders. Your goal is to constantly develop yourself so that you are upskilling and you are a better asset where you are now, but also a better asset for your future and whatever that future looks like for you. So now I want to talk about just the inside and outside of work. So I told you the story about my friend who hit me up and said, there's some things that can be better. That actually led to this new setup, right? So you guys who've been with me for a while will see that it's a new setup in my background and the way that you're seeing the visual when you're joining me live or you're watching the recording. And there's lots of other areas of improvement where he shared and we collaborated on, and I've been thinking about. And I thought, let me do it all, and then I'll come back on live, and then it'll be done. And folks will say, oh, wow, this is a new background. Look, they may or may not notice a change. I will have noticed it, which is the most important part. But they may be inspired by that. And then I was thinking, I want to walk you through it with me. I want you to see me be vulnerable. I want you to see me grow and develop and change. I want you to see continuous improvement real time. So, right, the first adjustment may be what you see today. There may be another adjustment next week and another adjustment the following week after that, because I am committed to continually improving, and I'm committed to letting you see the process. Because oftentimes in the world that we're in today, this social media, everything is finished, everything is already done kind of world, we get to places and we don't realize that it required someone to work. It required someone to take a chance. It required some trial and error. It required some learning in order to get to the finished product that you see today. So as I'm really thinking about encouraging you all, I want to make sure that I'm walking the talk myself. I want to make sure that as I'm walking the talk and I'm doing the things, you can see that as an example, and then you can go and apply that to your own career. You can then go and apply what you're learning here in a real-time example in the way that you choose, right? That will benefit your career. So I want to really encourage folks to think about continuous learning in whatever makes sense to you. So let me give you a couple of examples. I always want to give you a running start to get started, so you feel good about going away from this live and taking an opportunity to get into action as quickly as possible. So the first thing I encourage us all to do is to really focus on, are we consistently reading and taking in new information? Are we consistently reading, taking in new information? Whether that's podcasts, whether that is audio books, whether that is seminars, whether that is YouTube videos, whether that is conferences. Are we consistently taking in new information so that we can sharpen our own mindset, sharpen our own theories and the way that we see the way things are working today and what may happen in the future? What we know for sure is nothing stays the same. Nothing at all stays the same. We are constantly living in a world that is changing. Sometimes that world is changing in a way that we feel comfortable with. Sometimes it's changing in a way that we don't feel comfortable with. But our obligation to ourselves, if we are doing what's best for ourselves, is to figure out a way to change and to grow and to evolve our thinking, involve the way we show up, involve ideas and concepts that may be new to us, and work to integrate those ideas into the way that we work. So first, are we taking in new information? And that is going to upskill you. As you stay sharp in areas of your technical depth, areas of leadership, areas of emotional intelligence, right? Those are just 3 to start with. As you stay sharp in those areas, it will inevitably make you a better leader, make you a better individual contributor, make you a better manager of people. It will inevitably make you better. And then it also allows your areas of development to shrink, because as you're developing one area, your receptivity to new information, to new ideas is so much higher. It is this very, very defined way to grow. And it helps you to transition from where many of us may be in a fixed mindset, where we're limited in what we see, limited in what we engage with on a regular basis, limited in the information that we're getting. If that stays limited and it stays pretty narrow, we are going to be more rigid. we're going to be harder to work with. We're going to be harder to collaborate with. We're certainly going to be hard to change. So imagine if you're rigid and you're very limited in the way you see the world, imagine how that feels for other people to want to work with you, to want to collaborate with you, to want to share ideas with you. And most of the times when we're in a workplace, it is highly focused on collaboration and our ability to collaborate and problem solve and work with other people. That's what work is. So as you think about your areas of development and where you want to grow, where you want to see continuous improvement for your own life, I really encourage you to think about what new information sources am I bringing in on a consistent basis. And it doesn't mean that you have to throw away anything that you enjoy now. It just means, have I challenged myself? Am I doing anything new or different that I hadn't been doing before? Because continuous improvement and the desire to grow has to come from within. And then the benefits of it, of the new readings, new podcasts, new YouTube videos, whatever it is you're watching, whatever it is you're taking in, will make a huge difference in your receptivity, your ability to take in new information. And also when someone wants to give you feedback, like my friend, a source that I value and a source that whose opinion I want to incorporate, then you'll know that people are willing to give you that feedback, but you'll also be more receptive. That is a clear upskill. Receptivity to learning and continuous improvement is so impactful. When I hear the most often complaint, the most levied complaint against managers, against institutions, against organizations, is that there's only one way to do things. Everyone relies on the systems and processes that have been around for forever. They're not open to growth. They're not receptive, right? That's the argument and the complaint I hear the most, especially from young professionals, that they have ideas, innovations, improvements that they want to contribute to an organization, and the receptivity is not there. And that is going to shut down your ability to be able to collaborate with other people. It's also going to shut down your ability to want other people, for other people to want to collaborate with you, but also just to be around you, just for you to get the next opportunity. If we're still talking about what we did in 2015 or 2010, and that was the milestone learning of our professional development or our career, there's a lot of work for us to continue to do. So I want you to think about, we're in the, at the time of this recording, we're in the month of March, right? We're closing out March. We're closing out Q1 for 2024. Think about Q2, Q3, Q4, and the rest of this year. What are the ways that you can challenge yourself to be more receptive to new ideas and new concepts for the rest of 2024? And the way to start that in a very palatable, right? Take a small bite, is to take in a new source of information. Whether that's a new book that you want to read, I'm going to obviously plug mine, a new book you want to read, a new podcast that you want to listen to, a new source of learning, whether it is e-courses or whether it is, you name it. There's lots of information that's powerful and that's being created, right? The creator economy is vast and strong. And I don't suggest you only focus on a creator economy of little micro doses, 3-minute type of videos. I suggest you dig a little bit deeper into a topic that allows you to really challenge yourself and get your continuous improvement ideas and juices going. All of it may not apply to you. All of what you read, all of what's in the podcast, all of what's in this course may not apply to you, but something may. And when you go and apply that and you expand your own horizons and you challenge yourself in that way, that is an upskill. That is conditioning yourself to be a learner and to be a forever constant learner. And I really think that that is something that lots of us don't realize we may put down or set to the side. So when my friend called me and told me there's an opportunity for you to be able to grow, I didn't realize that I had set to the side improving in that area. And I'm so grateful that I have people in my life and relationships that want to see me get better and want to push me to be able to grow from a place of sincere love, attentiveness, help, support, value creation. So I'm fortunate to have that. I hope you also have those kinds of relationships. If you don't, there's an opportunity to build those. Where are the places that you're going to be able to build relationships? Now, as an adult, I know that one is harder. As a professional, I know that it's harder. How do we find time to do the things to build new relationships? So let's start first by being a continuous learner and putting the effort in to upskill ourselves and create a receptivity to new ideas and new informations and new concepts. Then let's incorporate them into our actual day-to-day life, the way we show up, and just see how our perspective of the world changes. See how much more valuable we can be as an individual contributor to the organization we work for, as an entrepreneur, as a student. I want us to all remain students, to be students of life. And that does not mean you have to go back to school. It does not mean you have to pay to go to another institution and fill in all of the blanks. It doesn't mean that. There's learning and knowledge and information all around us. It's really just a matter of us making the time and prioritizing that for a lot of folks. I understand that, life is not going to create these opportunities for us. We're not going to fall into these. We have to be conscious and intentional to make space for our own development and to help keep our receptivity high. That is the ultimate upskill. So while our receptivity is high, it's also an opportunity for us to say, no, I disagree with certain concepts, right? It doesn't mean that everything that comes across your desk, every book that you read, every new podcast that you listen to, audiobook that you tap into, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with it, right? But it does require you to think. It does require you to give a rational perspective as to why it doesn't align or why you don't think it's a fit. That is a challenging continuous improvement mindset. I hear that. I understand it based on what I know or my own experiences. It doesn't align. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. And then moving on to the next thing. So the answer is not to avoid taking in new information from any source. The answer is to take in new information, identify whether or not it fits or it aligns with the way that you want to move forward or the learning experience that you want to have. If it does, amazing, keep it. If it doesn't, set it to the side and move on to the next form of learning. So when we think about upskilling, I want us to be doing this inside and outside of work, because who we are outside of work obviously permeates to who we are inside of work. And work is one dimension of who we are in our career. And, this might feel a little bit controversial to say, but it is equally as important for how we develop ourselves outside of work as how we develop ourselves inside of work. And if we can upskill in each area, just imagine what a better asset we are to ourselves, to the organizations that we choose to partner with, or to the businesses we choose to start, institutions we choose to serve. So this one was really just to close the loop on this idea of upskilling. A lot of times people feel like it's a very narrow area and you have to only upskill when it comes to your career or your technical area of discipline. And what I'm encouraging you to think about is think about yourself as a constant lifelong learner, a student of life, constantly pursuing continuous improvement, getting better and better, because nothing is staying the same in the world that we live in today. Nothing is staying the same, and we all have to continue to challenge ourselves to get better. And we can do that in small doses. We can incorporate it into our commute into work. If we're, there was a survey that we did on LinkedIn that I believe the survey is closed now. 50% of folks said that they're in a hybrid work environment where they are commuting into the office part of the time, or they are working from home part of the time, or working remotely part of the time. So now we still have commutes, right? For those 50% of folks, we still have a commute. There's some other folks who don't have a commute. You work from home or that are primarily in the office. There are all these opportunities where we can repurpose that time. It can be a downtime feeling where, I'm just going to plug in my podcast, plug into my audiobook, and I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do it on my drive. I'm going to do it while I'm doing my chores, while I'm at home. It can be the method of decompression before we turn our brains all the way off. So I just want to encourage us to think about continuous learning and to actively pursue it for ourselves. And the example that I shared in my story is one that will stick with me forever, because we also have the opportunity to take feedback from people who are watching us and want to see us be successful. And sometimes that comes in the form of someone suggesting something for you to read, a conference for you to go to, a webinar for you to participate in and watch, or a new book, magazine, article, all of those things. So as we think about areas where we can continuously grow, our network helps to contribute to our growth. The people around us, the people who surround us, will either contribute to our growth, or we should be doing the same and contributing to theirs. I shouldn't say or, and we should be doing the same and contributing to theirs. So this has been my closeout of focusing on upskilling. And there are the 3 areas where you can upskill specifically in your career. And I'm going to recap them for us here. Number 1, getting a better understanding of profit and loss for the organization that you work for today. Profit and loss applies in every organization. It is applicable. The better understanding you can get of it, the better you will then know how your organization makes money, which then teaches you a lot about where you sit in the organization. The second one is, once you understand the profit and loss and you spend a little bit of time with that, now you can get a better understanding of the function that you are in. Are you in a profit center or are you in a loss center? And if you're in a profit center or you're in a loss center, how does that impact your role in the organization? How can you be an amazing support person if you're working in a loss center so that the profit centers can be more successful? Because companies value that. How can you be an amazing performer in your profit center? Because that ties directly back to the bottom line. And how do you use that language to be able to negotiate better compensation, negotiate new opportunities, transition into new roles, all the things that go along with it? The language of profit and loss, the language of how the company makes money, and the language of how you can bring value to the organization is the difference maker I've found as we're approaching conversations on compensation, opportunities, special projects, you name it. And then lastly, the third one is to continue to upskill, to be a student of life, to be a consistent learner, and looking for opportunities for you to create a receptivity to new information, to new ideas, to change, because we're all constantly changing and the world is changing fast. So the more receptive you can be to new information, to new styles of learning, that will create something within you that makes you a valuable asset to the current organization that you're in or the organization that you choose to partner with in the future. And that applies to you if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, if you work for a company, you work in academia, you work in nonprofit leadership, you work in federal or government work. All of these areas require a mindset of continuous improvement for you as an individual. Even if the receptivity isn't there for your manager or your department, you're creating security for yourself by being a student of life and a constant learner, because those skills, that competency, that mindset will then apply when you're looking to make a transition. So this has been great. I appreciate you all riding with me and joining me live. For those who are watching on the replay, if you have any other comments or things that you want to make sure that we touch on related to upskilling and this mindset and thinking, I would love to hear from you. Drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to get in touch with each person who comments on this particular post. And join us live next Tuesday. We'll be back at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here every Tuesday. We'll be starting a new topic to talk about. I'm going to hold that back from you guys. It's going to be a surprise. You have to come and join us. We're going to really dig into what we're thinking about for Q2 the next time we're all together. And I want to make sure that you all join me for that. It's been a great ride. Make your journey work for you. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.